Now, from the area's leader in live local news, this is WYLN News, the area's #1 source of live local news and information in Luzerne, Schuylkill, Carbon, and Columbia counties. WYLN News starts now.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on WYLN News. I'm Julia Wiegand. Protests against police brutality and racism broke out in communities coast to coast following the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. Our Julie Stefanovich has more.
The death of Minneapolis resident George Floyd by the hands of former police officer Derek Chauvin has sparked anger and outrage across the nation. Protests were held this past weekend, some resulting in violent unrest. Governor Tom Wolf signed a disaster emergency declaration to provide assistance to communities as they respond to the protest.
Folks out there who are demonstrating, as you exercise your rights today, do it in a way that honors democracy. Do it in a way that reaffirms its noble potential.
Chauvin was charged with involuntary manslaughter, and other officers that were involved were fired. But it seems the scenario of police brutality, especially against the African American community, plays out over and over again.
It's a sad moment here in the country. We've been through protests in the past, and we seem to be at the same place. We don't seem to be making any type of progress. However, I am impressed with the amount of diversity that the protests are taking.
People need to have their voices heard about the injustice, but leaders urge to do it in a civil manner.
We do not advocate any violence in the protests, but we can understand the pain that the community is going through, that many communities have gone through with similar incidents and so forth.
Many agree that there needs to be more outreach between law enforcement and the community.
I believe that there has to be some type of outreach by law enforcement and with our local government to basically to discuss the issues, because race has been an issue in this country, and we can't dodge it. We can't walk away from it. We have to confront it head on. At this day and time in 2020, I just can't believe the amount of hatred that exists from one generation to the next. It seems that it's an endless cycle.
The mission of the NAACP is to secure equality of rights in order to eliminate racism.
We've had racial summits to try to understand and to diffuse any of the stereotypes that might go on in the community.
The question remains, where do we go from here?
I think people have got to step up and say, when they see stuff, when they see this treatment of one human being towards another, they have to speak out against that.
Reporting for WYLN News, I'm Julie Stefanovich.
Thank you, Julie. The Laurel Mall's slowly but safely reopening its doors to the public. WYLN's Phil Kaufman has the details.
The Laurel Mall has opened its doors once again as Luzerne County now has entered the yellow phase.
The mall itself is open for the essential businesses that the governor ordered that can open. We kind of got into a little bit situation because a mall that has as many services as we have, and I know he deemed malls shouldn't open because they were considered recreation and social gatherings, but we kind of ran into a situation where we had to open because we have a doctor, an insurance agency, we have GNC, all the phone companies, they're all considered essential and they wanted to open, so.
Property manager Rocco Aruzzo says as soon as the county goes green, all the non-essentials will be able to open with their own set guidelines. The mall itself has its own guidelines as well and provides services such as hand sanitizer stations for mall shoppers.
We cut off all our recreation, we closed our food court, got rid of that, closed our play zone, so really the mall is open for the essential businesses. They'll either do curbside and online ordering, And the only thing we did is we opened up the 3 main doors for the people that can come in to come in. We have security here every day and maintenance. We're sanitizing, we're doing whatever we have to do.
Upon arriving at the mall, the east, west, and front main doors are open, and the mall's hours have changed from 11 to 7 Monday through Saturday and 11 to 6 on Sunday. Be aware that underground parking is closed.
We're hoping that everyone comes back. We're waiting for us to go green, and once we go green, the mall will be open full tilt. Our anchors are now open, by the way. Dunham Sports is open because they have an outside entrance. Boscov's is open. TJ Maxx will be opening June 11th because they have an outside entrance. Hopefully by then we'll be green, pretty close to it. So we're just telling the public we're taking all safety measures that are needed. I think they're going to see a really good Laurel Mall. We made a lot of changes to adhere to CDC, but a lot of good changes. So I think the people will feel very safe when they come to the mall.
Reporting from the Laurel Mall in Hazleton, this is Philip Kaufman with WYLN News.
Thanks, Phil. The Carbon County coroner ruled the deaths of 2 people last week as homicides. 3 people were found deceased in a Lansford home last Tuesday afternoon. Authorities say 34-year-old Ashley Belson, 9-year-old Ava Larario, and Mark Larario all died of gunshot wounds to the head. The female victims' deaths were ruled homicides, while Mark Larario's death remains under investigation. 2 young boys were also found alive at the Lansford home and are now under the care of another family member. A woman was arrested in Berwick over the weekend after allegedly stabbing a man during an altercation Saturday night. Police were called to the area of East 11th and Chestnut Streets for a report of a stabbing victim. He told authorities he was stabbed by 46-year-old Christine Gulbranson. She told officers she was assaulted by the victim when he smashed a vodka bottle over her head. The victim sustained a large gash to his right shoulder and was taken to an area hospital for treatment. Gulbranson was charged with aggravated assault and taken to Columbia County Prison for lack of $50,000 bail. Firefighters in Shenandoah responded to reports of a house fire on Southwest Street in the borough early Saturday morning. Crews received multiple calls shortly after 5 a.m. for smoke coming from the home at 331 Southwest Street. The fire was out within 20 minutes as firefighters began ventilating the building. According to the fire marshal, the cause was determined to be an electrical issue in the basement. 6 people were displaced by that Saturday morning fire in Shenandoah. The city of Hazleton's cracking down on noise complaints after numerous reports were made. The police department received over 130 noise complaints within less than a week's time. Mayor Jeff Gassett asked police to start compiling a list of addresses they've already responded to. Warnings are issued for first-time responders. After that, police will file citations that could result in a $300 fine, as well as additional costs that could reach up to $500. Residents are urged to report noise complaints to Luzerne County 911. Coming up on WYLN News, details from this weekend's SpaceX launch, plus housing authority funding. But first, we'll take a look at our 5-day forecast brought to you by the WYLN Weather Kids. We'll be right back.
My name is Charlie. I am 8, and here is your weather forecast for the week.
Hey everyone, Anthony Damiano here, physical therapist from Physical Therapy and Balance Centers in Hazleton. And today I want to talk to you guys about movement and how important movement is. The World Health Organization compares inactivity to even cancer when it comes to mortality and morbidity rates. They even talk about how prolonged sitting can put you at higher risk for diabetes and heart disease. So, it is important to keep moving. If you sit at work or sitting at home during work, it's important to try to stand once an hour and perform around 30 minutes of physical activity a day. That could be anything from light to moderate exercise. That could be within your own home using your own body weight. So from us at Physical, we just want to remind you to keep moving.
First, Earl Granville fought and sacrificed for his country. Then he inspired our entire nation.
That video right there, viewed more than 8 million times.
When I lost my leg, the community here in northeastern Pennsylvania was so good to me, and I want to show my gratitude, and that's why I'm running for Congress.
Earl will relentlessly fight to protect our northeastern PA conservative values.
I realize I can't do this alone. I need your help. I'm Earl Granville, and I approve this message.
Not only did I turn 25 this past Saturday, but history was made with SpaceX and its successful launch into Earth's orbit. Florida's weather cleared up just on time in Cape Canaveral for Saturday's historic SpaceX launch, the first in nearly a decade that our nation launched astronauts into orbit from U.S. soil. On Saturday, May 30th at 3:22 p.m., NASA astronauts Doug Hurley and Bob Behnken rode into orbit aboard the brand new Dragon capsule on top of a Falcon 9 rocket from the same launch pad used by the Apollo moon missions half a century ago. Sadie Cloud had the chance to leave the Hazleton area for a bit to watch the launch live, in person, at the Kennedy Space Center.
My uncle Doug invited me to go with my cousin and him to see the launch at Kennedy Space Center, and I was really interested, so I decided to join along. I'm very lucky for me because I am in Florida right now, and if I wasn't, I wouldn't have this opportunity.
She got to the Kennedy Space Center at 10:30 Saturday morning and walked around until liftoff. Before she knew it, everybody was outside to witness history, which only took about 2 minutes to fly above the trees surrounding the area.
The only thing I can think of was how loud it was. It didn't get quite loud until it was a decent height in the sky, because we were still 7 miles away, and they travel faster than sound, so it took a while till we could hear how loud it was, but once we did, it was so loud.
SpaceX would mark the first time a private company set humans into orbit, and visionary founder Elon Musk made a giant leap forward in commercial space travel.
I think it's amazing what he has done. I just think it's a really good thing that he's doing for space exploration, and I knew that there was going to be a launch with Elon Musk and SpaceX, and I didn't expect to be seeing it, and I was just excited I got the chance to see it for myself.
By around 10:30 Sunday morning, NASA's Chris Cassidy and 2 Russian station residents welcomed Hurley and Behnken on the International Space Station, following their 19-hour flight and equally smooth docking. Unlike the SpaceX and NASA flight control rooms, no social distancing or masks were needed in orbit, since the new arrivals were in quarantine for many weeks.
There was a lot of cheering and excitement when the rocket first went off, and before that there was a lot of anticipation for the rocket to go off. There were a ton of people. Everyone stayed socially distanced, but it was very packed.
As peak online viewership reached 10 million, the public was reassured that Tremor, their young son's blue sequined dinosaur accompanying them, was also in good shape and now joins Earthy, a plush globe delivered to the space station on Dragon's crewless test flight last year. Both toys will return to Earth with the space veteran duo once they complete their mission. New polling sites added and changes were made to some locations in Luzerne County. Tomorrow marks primary election day in Pennsylvania. While many opted for mail-in ballots in light of the pandemic, polling places will still be open to voters from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Voters need to be aware of changes in their voting district, and a new list of sites are listed on your screen now. If you have not returned your mail-in ballot just yet, do not put it in the mail. To be sure it's received in time, ballots can be dropped off at the Hazleton and Wilkes-Barre post offices or the Penn Place building. For more information on tomorrow's primary, be sure to visit LuzerneCounty.org. Coming up on Hazleton's News Choice, we had a chat with former Congressman Lou Barletta and his take on what's going on in Community and You. Plus, elections tomorrow. Stay with us.
All Care Home Care, providing quality in home care since 1986. Call and see how their team of licensed physical therapists, skilled nurses, speech, and occupational therapists can provide you with exceptional service in the comfort of your own home. They also offer dietitian, home health aide, and medical social worker services. You have a choice in your health care. For safe, friendly, qualified care, call All Care Home Care today and let their team begin taking care of you and your loved ones.
First, Earl Granville fought and sacrificed for his country. Then he inspired our entire nation.
That video right there, viewed more than 8 million times.
When I lost my leg, the community here in northeastern Pennsylvania was so good to me, and I want to show my gratitude, and that's why I'm running for Congress.
Earl will relentlessly fight to protect our northeastern PA conservative values.
I realize I can't do this alone. I need your help. I'm Earl Granville, and I approve this message.
Hi, I had a very minor fender bender tonight in an unreasonably narrow fast food drive-through lane. Don't worry, I have everything handled. I already spoke to our Allstate agent, and I know that we have accident forgiveness, which is so smart on your guys' part. Like the fact that they'll
4 weeks without the car.
Okay, yep, good night.
With accident forgiveness, your rates won't go up just because of an accident. Switching to Allstate is worth it.
Visit your local Allstate agent, the McNeilis Agency in Hazleton at 1092 North Church Street, or in Hometown in the Hometown Village Square.
Welcome to Community and You here on Wyln. I'm Julia Wiegand, and today we have a very special guest, former Congressman Lou Barletta. How are you doing today, Lou?
I'm doing great, thanks.
That's great. Now, today we are here to talk the pandemic, and on your end, as both a Hazleton resident and former elected official, can you explain to us, in your opinion, what the Wolf administration is doing right now, the good, the bad, and the ugly behind the decisions for the Commonwealth?
Let's begin with the good. The good is the administration wants to make sure that this pandemic doesn't kick up again as we open up the economy, that it doesn't begin to spread. That's the intent. However, if we look across the country at the states that have opened up, they have not seen those numbers spike. We now know who the most vulnerable people are, and we also know where they are. And they're not in Wayne County, they're not in some of the places around Pennsylvania that could have already been getting back to work and getting back into some sort of normal life, if that will ever be again. But we have to let people work again, and we know how to do it. And I think the mistakes and I've been very critical early on, being from Hazleton and seeing what was happening, it was like watching a train come right at us. We were watching people moving back and forth into New York and coming back. Some people work there and some people have friends there, and that was continuing to go on. We also were watching that people were not social distancing in Hazleton, and among that, we also saw the fact with the industrial parks and a couple of the businesses there, where many of the employees were complaining that they weren't being protected, and they had no choice. They either go to work or they lose their job. So when you put that all together, you get the hot spot in Pennsylvania, and that was Hazleton. That wasn't addressed. I had reached out to the governor early on before this really kicked off to hopefully that they would recognize what was happening. We were watching the buses coming back and forth and the transportation vehicles moving in daily. That didn't happen. I think that and what was happening in the industrial park was a combination of really what made the pandemic as bad as it was in Hazleton, one of the hottest spots in the country. That being said, I believe what's happening now, and the president has mentioned this, we can't let the cure be worse than the problem. And that is happening because people know what they can do. They have to get back to work. They have to take care of their families. I know what to do when I go out. I have a mask, I have gloves, we social distance. I know how to behave myself, and Americans know that as well. Nobody wants to get the virus. Nobody wants to spread the virus. No business wants themselves or their employees to get the virus. But at the same time, they have to feed their families. They have to eat. We can't keep people locked up any longer. We're now hurting, the administration is now hurting people who need to live again. If you look at the numbers in Pennsylvania, over 4,000 deaths, 3,000 of them came in nursing homes. And at the same time, the administration were allowing COVID-positive patients to return into the nursing home. Now, that makes no sense at all. That was like sticking a match in a gas can. And that is why over 60% of the deaths in Pennsylvania, which is double the national average, has happened in our nursing homes in Pennsylvania. That means not a lot of other people across the state, if you look at the per capita numbers, were affected as badly as our senior citizens. And now that means, people are continuing to be punished at home without a job. I've been in government for a while. I've been in Washington in a while, and I think the better decisions start with you and me and not with our people in Washington and Harrisburg. I think the average people are smarter than the politicians because they know what to do. We're not stupid people. We know what to do. I don't need the government telling me to keep a mask on. I don't want the virus, and I don't want to spread the virus. And if I had a business, I don't want that business to close. I know what it's like to start a business. I did that. And had this pandemic started when I had my business in the first 2 years, we'd be closed forever. All that hard work and everything that people are putting into it, they're going to do what's right to protect their businesses. There needs to be guidelines, and that's what the state should be doing, giving us guidelines. We know what they are, and making sure and reinforcing that people are following those guidelines. It's as simple as that. You're pushing people all into one big space rather than if you had the smaller businesses who can control how many people are in. We know what to do. We don't need people in Harrisburg and Washington now, standing over us like a nanny, telling us how we need. People need to live and work, and it has to happen now.
Very well said. Now, to bring this all together, what's the biggest thing you believe that we have learned over the past 2 months, actually, since the beginning of the year almost, it seems like, when it comes to handling a global crisis such as this?
I think what we've learned is how neighbors can help neighbors and how we could protect not only ourselves but other people, and how we've taken that all for granted, washing our hands and not touching your face. I mean, these are things which I believe moving forward will help us as a nation in dealing with the common cold and flu, because we now, I believe, are conditioned to go out and watch ourselves more carefully. So I think we've learned a lot with that. We've learned that who are more vulnerable people, and should this, God forbid, ever happen again, we've also learned that we need to make the things to keep us safe here in America. We can't let countries like China and other countries control whether we get our medicines or our protective gear, from them. We need to depend on ourselves, and I think that's probably what the biggest takeaway will be from this.
Thank you so much for squeezing us in today via iPad.
Yeah. Well, this is I guess the new normal, right? You can do interviews without socks on.
Definitely. And thank you, everybody out there tuning in for this Community in You. Remember, as we've heard time and time again, every single day, stay smart, stay healthy, and stay safe. We'll see you next time here on Wyln.
When emergency strikes, trust your care to the all-new ER at Lehigh Valley Hospital, Hazleton. With a facility that's now twice the size. Experienced nurses who see you right away. A quick assessment process makes sure you get the care you need. Advanced technology on site. Safe, private treatment rooms, and a peace of mind that only this level of care can bring. When it matters most, trust your partner in emergency care. Lehigh Valley Hospital, Hazleton.
S.J. Kowalski is your Mitsubishi Diamond Contractor. They can install a Mitsubishi electric Mr. Slim ductless heating and cooling system. Mr. Slim systems are designed to make any living space in your home inviting. You can have a different temperature control for every room in your home. The money-saving technology can save you 25 to 50% on your heating bill. For Mitsubishi, Renai, and trained comfort specialists, call S.J. Kowalski at 570-455-2600.
From the bottom of our hearts, the WYLN TV 35 family would like to say thank you to all essential workers for your service to our community and for keeping us safe.
The Hazleton Housing Authority received funding from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. It'll be getting around $170,000 in COVID-19 relief funds. The authorities kept records of money spent on virus expenses that include disinfectants and sanitizers. Around $137,000 will be used for public housing, while the remainder will be used for the Section 8 voucher program. Over $680 million was allocated for low-income housing to be used for COVID-19 related expenses. A curbside meal distribution will be held later this month in West Hazleton. Free hot meals will be available to residents Wednesday, June 17th, at the Community Building on South 4th Street. The borough will be accepting orders until June 10th by calling 570-501-0591. The event was set up to help those impacted by COVID-19. It's free to residents, but donations are welcome. That's the news. Remember, the source matters now more than ever. Catch all the latest on our Facebook page or WYLNTV.com, where you'll find the real facts about COVID-19 from LVHN or who's open for business. Stay with us. A look at today's weather is next, right here on WYLN TV.
First, Earl Granville fought and sacrificed for his country. Then he inspired our entire nation.
That video right there, viewed more than 8 million times.
When I lost my leg, the community here in northeastern Pennsylvania was so good to me, and I want to show my gratitude, and that's why I'm running for Congress.
Earl will relentlessly fight to protect our northeastern PA conservative values.
I realize I can't do this alone. I need your help. I'm Earl Granville, and I approve this message.
Life is different, but it hasn't stopped. So when curiosity turns into a rash, an LVHN video visit is just a click away. No matter what you need, whether it's a phone call with a primary care provider or a specialist, or you just need advice on your health, we have a virtual care option that's right for you. And the best part? You'll always be seen by a Lehigh Valley Health Network provider. Visit lvhn.org/virtual to learn more.